And it's because the J horror genre has its own kind of, traits, tropes, if you want to call it that. And we weren't used to this. The Americans weren't used to this. Nothing, I
Yeah.
don't think the rest of the world really was. Ringu basically came out, and the West said, "Oh, you know what? We can Americanize that," and they made The Ring, and that's what happened. And it was in 2002, so about a 4-year span. But there are similar traits across all J horror movies. Psychological dread over gore. You don't see a lot of gore. It's kind of
Yep.
in the background.
Yes.
Minimalism, quiet pacing. The sound design sets the atmosphere. It's eerie. You got unresolved trauma all over the place. It makes you sitting there at home be on edge because you're like, this needs to, this. Here's a big one: tech paranoia. In the late '90s, when technology was coming around, it was a high anxiety in Japan. They were afraid of the technology, the internet, emails, and all of this stuff going around. And look at what we're doing now. 20 plus years later, we got AI. This is not going anywhere. The anxiety of technology is still very relevant, if not more now than ever. So,
For good reason.
Tapes, websites like the movie Pulse, cell phone curses, all this stuff. That was Japanese J horror.
Yeah, and a little throwback too, because we talked about poltergeists
Oh yeah.
in the other episode, and I just remembered that they were throwing out TVs. The little boy was like, he was like, "Why can't we have a TV? I want a TV." And the parents were like, "No TVs. We're not doing TVs."
Exactly.
In Poltergeist 2, because of what happened in Poltergeist 1, obviously. The TV turning to snow, like, it's just interesting to see that comparison, that there's both, a little fear of what can come through a television set.
Well, and then J horror does go back, and I'm going to bore people out there because I will go through the history of it. J horror really comes from No and Kabuki theater. Like it does. Like you got No, which is formal poetic, and then Kabuki, which was the flashy stuff. It was, the Kabuki mask, but it was full of vengeful spirits, supernatural revenge plots. Those masks and the creepy movements and all that. You saw that later. Straight up. That was prototype J horror and Kabuki. Yeah. Then you had some of the Japanese horror films in the 1920s that all got lost. Like, it really did. Those films are gone. They don't know where they are. Got lost during the war, maybe after the war. They kind of reflected what happened with Ghost, Disfigurement, and then later the kaiju. You know who the kaiju are? Godzilla! Like, that was still part of J-horror. And then in the 90s is when the tech anxiety spiraled out of control. You got haunted VHS tapes, the internet, urban legends. This was an urban legend in Japan already going around before the movie was made.
Right.
That there was a haunted videotape that you would die in 7 days if you watched it. So there was already this crazy level of anxiety. Then this movie drops. The Ringu and The Ring, let's just put them together, even though it was a short span between each other. But now, after that, after The Ring dropped and brought J-horror to the West, every studio out there wanted a long-haired ghost, like creepy, like you came in to this episode with. So that was my long spiel on some J-horror history. I did my research, see?
Yeah. Yeah.